Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between the Seams with Marty and Mack, brought to you by the Triple Play Fantasy Network. This is a new fantasy baseball show where we are going to discuss the best waiver wire pickups for each week, and unlike most shows, we are actually going to review our picks from the following week and track them. So, in other words, we are going to take responsibility for our picks. Now, but before we hop into the week one, let's meet my incredible co-host, Tristan Mckenzie. Mack is a fantasy baseball analyst for Triple Play Fantasy, along with Pitcher List. And according to Matt Williams at NBC Sports Edge, Mack is one of the best underrated follows on fantasy baseball Twitter. Mack, how's it going?
Doing pretty solid. That was an unexpected shout out from Matt, which was really nice. He's one of the nicest guys in the industry. I mean, just a solid all around guy. But man, I'm doing super well. I'm super excited about the show. Super excited to, like you said, be taking responsibility for our picks, which is scary because they could be some pretty bad picks. Who knows? Mm-hmm. And we'll see that play out on our teams probably.
Exactly. Well, I remember just being on, fantasy baseball Twitter and just seeing so much of people saying like, no one ever, backs up what they've done, or we don't know, how true, the all the type of analysts do and everything like that. So if we can actually put something behind it, and at the end of the year say, anyone that I picked as a waiver wire pickup did this or that, I think that gives us an edge, on some of the sports shows, and gives us an opportunity actually to check our work and see if what we're saying is actually true.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think our success rate should be? Like at the end of the year, we look back, like should it be like 50% of our picks?
Oh man. I remember when SP streamer Michael Simeone, he does his streamers, each week for pitching, and he's like elite at it. And
oh yeah,
I forgot what the number was, but it still wasn't that very high of success. I think 50% is like, or 60% would be like incredible. So yeah, let's shoot for that.
I mean, hey, 30 is the 300 average, which I'll take.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so, and I'm the host, Marty Tallman. I'm the fantasy baseball analyst for Triple Play Fantasy, and I'm the lead fantasy baseball analyst for MotorCityBengals.com. You can find me on Twitter at Marty_Tallman. Christian, where can the fans find you?
At J Christian Mack. The J stands for Jeremy, which is my first name. My parents made my life confusing, named me after my dad, but I go by Christian. So find me on there, J Christian Mack.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Well, before we hop into it, I want to let's just take a moment here and just be super excited that baseball season is here.
It's on us. We're in this like really weird time where like March Madness is sort of like lulling, but spring training ends and the opening day. But there's like that 4 or 5 days we're like right there at it. The next few days are going to be a drag.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not the biggest college basketball person, so I'm not following that at all. So I am just all in on spring training lineups and all those different types of things. So, but yeah, do you have any plans for opening day? What are we doing?
I'm probably just going to try to open up as many streams on my computer as possible. I don't have any, my wife likes watching baseball, but I don't have any crazy plans. I'm just going to try to watch as many games as I can, catch as many opening day starters. There's so many studs on the mound. It's going to be insane.
Yep. For me, the one that's sticking out the most is going to be DeGrom versus the Nationals. I'm just so excited to see that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so our typical first segment is going to be when we would review our picks from last week and see how they did. But obviously, we haven't started week one yet, so we can't review anything. So this is what we're going to do instead. Mac, we've been drafting teams now for a few months. And, from 12 teams to 15 teams, the points to Roto to all of them. Tell me which 3 players you have drafted the most and why.
So I thought off the top of my head, it's so weird, these last minute decisions you make in draft rooms. The players that stuck out to me, I was like, it's going to be Ian Happ, Ketel Marte, those guys who I really like and I'm in on this year. But randomly, I found that in the 10 to 15 round spot, I was feeling real comfortable. I was taking Anthony Santander as my number one guy. I had him in almost every draft I've done this year. And I really liked him. Last year, he actually helped me win a points league. I picked him up mid-season while he was on a tear. And I really like Santander. He's going about His ADP is 147. He's kind of sandwiched in there with the Ian Happ range. I try to get them both if I can, especially if I'm picking at a turn, because Ian Happ has that second base, third base eligibility along with outfield in Yahoo, which is super valuable. But Santander, projections have him for hitting close to 30 home runs, 28 home runs, composite projection, 87 RBIs, 75 runs. So you're looking at over under 150 RBIs plus runs, plus around 30 home runs from a guy that's sitting available in the 10 to 15 rounds, depending on whether it's a 10 team or a 12 team. I love him. I think he's in for a breakout. He's mashed the ball. He's been on like a 35 home run pace the last 2 years. He's the switch hitter. He hits right-handers exceptionally well. The other guy was Alec Baum. Baum is one of my favorite picks right now. And a lot of people are looking for sophomore slumps when rookies break out. So you see guys like Ian Anderson slipping down the draft boards, but Baum's one of those guys that I think still weirdly is flying under the radar. He's got a 105 ADP, which some might say is relatively good value, but Baum has raked. I mean, if you look at his slash lines through the minor leagues, he's raked every single place he's been. Over 300 average, pretty much everywhere he's been. He's on base all the time. College, he raked. Minors, he raked. He was the 2019 Phillies Minor League Player of the Year, drafted 3rd overall. He came up, raked, did nothing but rake. I'm just going to draft a guy if he hits everywhere. Until he stops hitting, I'm just going to keep drafting it. I like him a lot because he's first base and third base eligible too. So you can throw him in a corner infield position. First base is super shallow. And then finally, the last guy was Tristan Javier, who I like a lot. Similar to Baum, he's just pitched everywhere he's gone. You find every single level, whether that was overseas, pitching foreign leagues, or if he's in the minors. His K9 is over 10. His ERA is sitting around under 4. Usually it's around the 3. And last year he had a really good year. He throws pretty much 2-pitch mix, fastball, slider. His slider's really funky because it has like 3 inches more than average horizontal break, but not very much vertical break. So it's a really odd slider. If you watch it, it's super pretty. Pitching Ninja, I think, calls it just a pretty pitch. And gets quite a few swings and misses, and his fastball also rises. So it's pretty average. It's like a 93 mile per hour fastball, but it's got like 4 inches of rise on it, which is crazy. And he hides it behind his back when he comes over on the throwing motion, which makes it really deceptive. So I've seen him sitting around that but I've seen him fall way past 200, which if he's past 200, I'm taking it today. He's one of those guys that's got a ton of upside, and you can always drop him and play the waiver wire if he starts thinking it up. But yeah. So what about you? What would have been your 3 go-to guys?
Absolutely. Before I hop in, can you review your 3 for me? What were they?
Sorry. Yes. Anthony Santander. I think I'm saying that right. The MLB pronunciation guide came out recently, which
from
no one's checked
Chris,
it out.
Baseball Pods. Yeah. I nailed them immediately. I was like, I need this. Yeah, Santander. Yes. You nailed it.
Great. Because I've been meaning to like read through that and memorize everything because I just hate pronouncing guys' names wrong. So Anthony Santander, Alec Baum, and Tristan Javier, my 3 guys that I've drafted the most.
Love it. I mean, Alex Baum, myself, I'm in a 10-team OBP league. And last night I took him as my 3rd baseman. Yeah. 3rd baseman, 1st baseman eligibility. I am typically more like I'm usually afraid of sophomore, players because I don't know if the slump, obviously we don't know if the slump's a real thing, but we've seen it so many different times, and whether that's just pitchers adjusting to the new guys or, whatever it is, but I'm fully on board with Baum. I think that's right on there. But yeah, so for my 3, let me bring them up here. So number 1 is my boy Lance Lynn. So his ADP right now in NFBC drafts is 53. He's the 17th pitcher off the board, sandwiched in between Kenta Maeda and Corbin Burns. Steven Strasburg's also right next to him as well. And throughout this whole year, and I think everyone said this, and there's been a lot of coverage on this, but I'm still very afraid of the pitching limits, or an innings limits on all of these different pitchers. And so my whole goal for my pitching staff this year was obviously not only to get the best players, but ones I'm not going to have to worry about, if they're going to go over 150 innings, 180 innings. If they're going to stop these players at 120, 140, I don't want anything to do with them. And so Lance Lynn is a beast in every sense of the word. He's got the big beard. He's got the belly. I don't even know if he works out. But he's going to go 6, 7, 8 innings. He's going to get you somewhere around, 3.5 ERA, somewhere 28%, 27% strikeout percentage. And I just think he's still underrated. I understand that his FIP was 4.19 last year, and his xFIP was 4.34. And when you compare all of his, attributes, his K percentage was slightly down, but he's locked in, as I think he's the second pitcher behind Giolito in that White Sox rotation. That means more of the AL Central, playing the Tigers, playing the Royals, and even the Twins underachieved last year from an offensive perspective. I mean, they were only ranked 18th. So he's in a really easy division, and he's just been so solid. I mean, since 2019, he has a 3.57 ERA over 292 innings. So Lance Lynn, he's becoming my number 2 pitcher in most drafts. Number 2 would be Brian Hayes. So piggybacking off your Alex Baum, where I think a lot of people are backing off them because they are sophomores. I'm all in on Brian. I literally have him in I think I'm in 8 leagues. I have him in 6. It's the love is real and it's deep. So his ADP is currently 127. He's a 17th third baseman off the board, sandwiched between Tommy Edman and Gio Urshela. Neither of those two guys stick out to me too much, and especially when it comes to steals. And so outside of Jose Ramirez, I think he could lead all third basemen in steals. Just this spring in 49 plate appearances, he's hitting .413 with a bomb and 2 steals. So, he hasn't stopped hitting. He's going to have that third base eligibility. He's going to be either batting second or third in the horrid Pittsburgh lineup. But at the end of the day, Brian Reynolds is hitting pretty good. Kevin Newman's batting 800 in spring training. So, he has a little bit of support around him. And he's going to have all the playing time in the world. So
no one's threatening his spot.
Exactly.
And he's a Gold Glove defender. So, he's going to get that time.
Yep, exactly. So I really like Hayes. And then lastly, it's going to be Max Kepler. And I think he's similar to what you were saying, where you think you have all these people that you love, and then you look at your roster and you're like, I have 6 shares of Max Kepler. I didn't even know that I loved him, but it's true. I do. I absolutely do. So he's the 59th outfielder off the board. He's going around Kyle Schwarber and AJ Pollock. Both can be bomb droppers, right? And they're pretty good with OBP. But Kepler gives you that 10 bags, So you're going to get the 25 home runs. You're going to get 10 stolen bases, and he's going to bat somewhere around 250. Now, what I think is really overlooked in roto categories is runs. And he is hitting right at the top of the lineup. So behind him is Donaldson, Cruz, and Sano. So he should be getting close to that 85, 90, maybe even 100 runs. And he's 28 years old, entering his 6th full season. So I think that there's even, we haven't even seen possibly the best of Max Kepler. So those are my 3. It's going to be Lynn, Hayes, and Max Kepler. Nice.
See, that's funny. I've actually been super out on Max Kepler, so I'm glad to hear you make that case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have a single share. Now I'm regretting maybe I should have grabbed one.
Were the other people sticking out for you at that time?
Yeah.
Is it just, or have you filled up outfielder? Because I'm waiting on outfielder.
Usually I like to go one outfielder in the first 5, probably. I usually try to grab one in the first 5, and then I like to leave the first 10 rounds with 2 outfielders. That's usually what I do. And then by the time I get around Kepler, I just like other guys. And he's one of those guys that I'm just not sure. He hit 36 homers in 2019, but that was 2019 when the ball was super juiced. Yep. So for me, I just want to see it from him, not not 2019. Basically, I want to see him do it again. If he does it again, great. Yeah, without the live ball. Yeah. Because other than that, he's been a 20 home run guy. It's pretty much his whole career. So, but he is hitting in that potent Twins lineup. So you're right about runs for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and at this point, I think I don't know what to make of the dead ball. You know, I think that's going to be something that's going to take all year to figure out. And by the time we figure it out, it would be too late to even act on it. So, but I've heard up to, home runs being cut by 30%. I've heard
that
crazy
too.
Like that. It's just nuts.
Which I definitely haven't let it affect me too much, but I have found myself leaning more towards not contact first guys, but guys that aren't only mashers, like guys are going to give you like a 270, 280 average floor. So that's why I've been leaning for Alec Baum, Brian Hayes, those guys who seem to hit a lot of line drives, who give you high average floors.
And oddly enough, I think I'm on the complete opposite end, where I'm getting the guys who however Stanton hits the ball, it's going to go over the fence.
That's fair.
What the ball is. The scrapers, the fence scrapers like DJ LeMahieu or Whit Merrifield. I've been a little bit less. I'm still drafting them, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder how much this is going to affect. But like I said, it's nothing we can statistically look at and understand and make sense of, and so you just gotta wipe your hands clean of it and move on and
see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see this time next year.
Yeah.
So let's move on to what would be our segment 2. So that's going to be our waiver wire pickups for week 1. Week 1's going to be a little weird, as we discussed before the show started, with, they give you the 3-4 days, and then, depending on your league, either week 2 will start, or week 1 will continue, or you're in roto. So there are no weeks. It's all just one big thing. But yeah, tell me, we'll start off. Give me 3 pitchers that you are eyeing for the upcoming week.
Okay, 3 pitchers. So first one right off the bat is Drew Smiley. And that might be a little bit of a homer pick because I'm a huge Braves fan. I'm super glad we picked him up because I'm a big believer in that fastball velocity sticking around. But Drew Smiley is going to get the Nats first week. And honestly, if you're looking for a pretty easy schedule, the Braves aren't getting any of the hard-hitting East during the first month. And Smiley's got a couple of pretty easy starts, but not to say the Nats don't have some mashers.
And that's what I was going to ask. Are you with the Nationals? Do you think they're going to take that step back that a lot of people think that they are going to do?
I think so. I think I think the Nats are the last place team in the East. I think the Marlins probably passed them up, especially with their pitching. I don't know. That might be a hot take, but I've always seen it to be Braves, Mets, Phillies, Marlins, and Marlins are sneaky good.
I mean, that pitching staff,
crazy good. And if Trevor Rogers and Hernandez take that step forward, Jazz Chisholm lives up to his prospect pedigree, you never know what that team could become.
Yep.
Imagine if they had Christian Yelich and Marcell Ozuna too. Crazy.
You want to go down. I mean, as a Tigers fan, we have benefited so much from the ineptitude of the Marlins that I can't say anything.
As a Braves fan, I'm a direct benefit.
Maybe everyone has. So, but it's a good call.
Yeah, Drew Smiley, I think, and that's someone that Nick Pollock at Pitcher List has circled. He has a really great resource outside of these 3 guys that each of us are going to give. It's his Who Has the Best Early Matchups article. It's super solid. It gives you a full month rundown of each guy's first month, and that's really great. So Drew Smiley is my first guy. I think he has K upside. If you drafted someone like Framber Valdez, and you need someone to fill in. Yeah, me too, sadly. And you need someone to fill in a couple starts early on. You don't know that timetable. I think Smiley's a solid guy. Could be a solid starting pitcher 4 or 5. Another guy is Adbert Alzolay. Adbert is going to get the Milwaukee Brewers twice. His first 2 starts are more than likely going to be the Brewers. And, he's finally going to get a full run, I think. Everyone knows he's got the stuff. He's not going to have huge K numbers. He's not your 12, 10 strikeout per 9 guy, but he tends to limit the home run ball. The Brewers are not a power hitting offensive team. They've got Yelich. I like the Brewers a lot. I also think Brewers and Marlins feel really sneaky to me, but their offense is not going to be one that jumps off the page. Either they're going to mash you out of the ballpark, or it's kind of like the Braves. The Braves tend to be this way too. Either they're going to hit a bunch of home runs, the way the Brewers lit up. Who's that? Walker Buehler in spring training the other day. It just absolutely destroyed him. But most of the time, I don't think you see that from the Brewers. So I really like Adbert's first 2 matchups.
Let me ask you this. because I have him in a dynasty, and like you said, the stuff's there. Do you think there's going to be a big limit on his innings? Because I think he's the 5th starter technically.
Yeah, he's starter number 5.
5, okay, yeah. So have you heard anything about how many innings he's projected to get, or if they have any type of limitations on him?
That's a good question. I haven't seen that much on him, actually. People have been pretty quiet about him this spring. So I know he made the opening day roster, and he was really excited about that. I saw that article recently, but I haven't seen anything about him getting an innings limit. But again, like everyone's kind of getting an innings limit, so I'm less worried about giving those rookie guys a run out there because they're probably getting an innings limit, but so is almost everyone else. Like you, I've been drafting Lance Lynn everywhere I can, especially in like quality starts or points leagues, because that he's just a horse. He's going to go 120 pitches sometimes, give you 7 or 8 innings. But for those other guys, I like to make staple rotation guys like Lynn, guys are going to go long, and then throw in guys like Adbert in there. But I don't really know. Honestly, that was a really roundabout way to say I'm not super sure, but I'm not that worried.
Got it.
And then the final guy I had is Tristan Mckenzie, which I think is also another one of those rookie upside plays. We saw what he could do right out the gates last year. He definitely will probably have inning pitch limit.
And that's what I was. Yep, yeah. And that's, for me, he's been a 100% avoid. Now, if he's on your waiver wire,
if he's on your,
pick him up, when he's had decent matchups or whatever it is. But yeah, for me, and I think as we saw last year, as he progressed as the season, his velocity went down, from like 93 to 91. It just kept going down. And he was losing his, losing his command. And I think just the wear and tear of even a small, it was only 60 games, but even that kind of adjusted him. But for where he's at with the AL Central, and his skills and everything like that. Yeah, I think for a waiver wire pickup. Yeah.
For a waiver wire pickup. And I think the one thing that people, especially if you're in a quality start league, and I play in quite a few of those, the Cleveland Indians let their starters go. They had the most quality starts in all of 2020. Their starters, whether it was Savale or Plesac or whoever, I think Savale and Plesac were among like the top 20 guys innings per game. Plesac, I think, was the number 1 actually. And they just let their starters go. But I also really trust their pitching development. So that's something, a lot of people were concerned about Mckenzie, and he's really slight. He's like 6'6", 180. He's got a super slight frame, but I tend to trust the Indians. Like I have a couple teams that I like, and I just trust their development and pick their guys and let them go. So that's I think I see the fastball decline, and I saw all that stuff, but I tend to put my trust in teams that develop pitching well, and Indians have just been like a pitching factory, and it's early on. So if he's on your waiver wire, you're looking for a stream option for the first few weeks, I think that you won't have those longevity concerns early on, maybe later in the season. But right now, I think he's a super high upside play if you're looking to get ahead in your leagues in the first couple weeks.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely, it, and you can just hold on to him, and maybe 75% into the season, that's when, they start to put a limit on his innings. You can just drop him and move on. Yeah. Actually, he might be perfect just for that. But I want to ask you, let me just pivot here. I want to ask you this. Aaron Savale, are we buying into him? Or
I'm in.
Okay. Not convince me, but talk to me a little bit about him, because, I see him a lot as a Tigers fan. I see him pitching a lot. He's never really stood out. Now, I'm fully behind you with everything Cleveland does, because they just make, they turned Bieber into one of the best, pitchers in the world right now. But yeah, give me your take on Savale.
Savale is a guy, if you go to Pitcher List has their guys, and Savale is one of those guys that a lot of Pitcher List staffers are a big fan of. I personally, maybe it's bias, I don't know. I think he's a great guy. He comes on podcasts all the time. He's super open on Twitter, so I enjoy him. So maybe he's just I'm drawn in by his charisma and personality. Who knows? But I owned him for a better part of last year, most of last year. And him and Plesac, I owned both of them. They were quality start machines. They got, again, they're in the Central. It's not a great, it's not an offensive powerhouse. he's been working on his pitch mix. I like that he has multiple weapons. He's not going to be a super high strikeout guy, but he tends to limit the dinger ball. He doesn't give up a ton of home runs. That's where Plesac come. That's kind of I've been away from Plesac and more in on Savali because I think he's got plus command. I like that he limits home runs. I like that he has multiple weapons in his arsenal. I think he's a stabilizing force in a rotation. I mean, he's not my ace, but starting pitcher 4, starting pitcher 3, I think he gives you good ratios. You can count on him to give you around a 3.5 ERA and limit home runs, give you quite a few quality starts if you need those. So that's been where I'm at on Savali. And I think that, honestly, he's like a little bit of a pitch mix away from taking a step forward in that rotation too, because he's got super great command, and I really see him run a couple of the other pitches he's got. So I don't know. That's been where I'm at. There's a couple of articles on Pitcher List I know that are probably more convincing than what I just gave, but.
Well, no, I mean, I've just been seeing his name, so much lately, and him skyrocketing up the boards, and people who I totally respect, and I look to them a lot for their rankings, or, especially with pitching, because I'm not a pitching guy, like I love hitting. Like I love diving into those stats. And then when I was given the opportunity to co-host with you, and he's like, oh, he writes for Pitcher List. I'm like, hell yeah. We have someone who understands pitching. You're talking velo, coming from this angle, arm slot, all this different stuff. And I'm like eyes wide open, like little kid, just like in awe. Like I don't understand any of that stuff. So that's amazing. I looked at the stats and I just keep seeing Savali just, go up everyone's draft board. So good. It's nice to actually put some numbers and thought behind it. And, and that's a lot of smart people in this industry. So it makes sense he was moving that way.
Yeah. And I'm honestly, I hate to throw like a monkey wrench and all that, but tend to be more of a hitter over pitcher guy too. But I've been trying really hard to get into.
You're just good at everything. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I've been trying so hard. When the seam shifted wake dropped, that was like, I had like just gotten into I was like, oh, I'm understanding pitching. I'm getting into it because I pitched a lot through high school. And so, but I was just like, throw the ball hard, throw a slider when a guy's not expecting it. I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was just throwing it. So it's been interesting. It was interesting, like diving into it and seeing how the numbers worked. But man, when seam shifted wake and all this stuff, like just it's in like dropped a bomb. And now I'm like, I don't understand anything about how any of this works again. The perceived versus actual break and stuff. I'm like, just makes my head spin sometimes, but I'm trying.
Good. You keep trying, and then people like you who are very smart, you can condense it even more and then explain like me who are just like, okay, so is he good or not? Perfect.
Yeah, so tell me if he's good. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, so I'll hop into my 3 here, my 3 pitchers that I got coming up. So number 1, I'm going to start with Ryan Yarbrough. So he's going against the Marlins. He's only, is this shocking you that he's only rostered in 53% of Yahoo leagues? Does that seem?
That seems crazy to me, but I don't know. I mean, since most Yahoo leagues are 23-round drafts, I guess he's not getting picked up in those last few rounds, but he's a guy that I've been watching and I've grabbed him a lot, especially in the best ball format.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So, only, like I said, 53% owned in Yahoo leagues. He's going up against the Marlins. Actually, who turned me on to him was Yancey. He's the baseball community, Mr. Yancey. He described Yarbrough as an inexpensive version of Kyle Hendricks. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I need to dive in and see what he's talking about. And what I found was Yarbrough, he's a master of limiting hard contact, and he doesn't walk anybody, like almost literally anyone. It's like in the 99% percentile on StatCast, with his walking percentage. So just absolutely incredible. Obviously, he won't help you out too much with Ks, but that's why he's going against the Marlins. He should be able to get 4 or 5.
At least a few.
Yeah. And then, it's a good park, right? The Marlins produced only, they were bottom third of runs produced last year, and they were actually better than they've been in years. So he's going to be in Miami. He's able to limit hard contact just at an absolute elite level. If he is on your waiver wire, pick him up immediately and hold on to him. I promise you.
Yeah, he's a command artist. He's a cutter first guy, cutter changeup to seam, curveball a little bit, but for sure.
Beautiful. And then number 2 was going to be Mike Minor. So, and this is actually one of those people, I mean, he's only rostered in 21% of leagues, and I'm one of the few that have not given up on Minor. I know he's old. Last year, he was absolutely terrible. But, we're not too far removed, from his, 2019 season when he pitched 208 innings with a 3.59 ERA and had over, I think he had exactly 200 strikeouts. So he's not too far removed from that, and he is basically free. I don't know if any of you guys haven't drafted yet. He's not going to be drafted, but he's always going to be on your waiver wire. He's going to be pitching in Kauffman Stadium. And, again, AL Central, going against them a lot. This week he'll be going against the Rangers, who were the second worst offensive team in baseball last year, which I think is kind of – not a lot of people really realize that. I mean, were you aware that, they literally scored the second least amount of runs?
I did not know that. I did know that I think they were the worst defensively, too. So that's pretty rough. Yeah, I didn't know they scored the second least amount of runs, though.
Yes. But Pirates are the worst. They were right behind them. Only the
not surprising.
5-10. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, they're kind of a garbage fire right now, because I know the Braves were the second worst defensively last year, and I was looking at that recently, and the Rangers were I think the worst. So
well, there you go. Hopefully there'll be better times coming up in Texas. I mean, they signed a few guys, right? I think they have
David Dahl, if he could stay on the field.
Yeah. David Dahl, Mr. Glass. Yep. I mean, but so, and then lastly, and this is for a very, very deep league, very deep. And I am almost, and we are, like we said, we are going to be reviewing these every single week. So I'm actually going to have to look you guys in the face next week. And we're going to have to talk about Jake Arrieta versus the Pirates. And we're going to see. Okay. So the Pirates were ranked dead last in runs scored last year. Like I said, in Arrieta, I'm fully, I don't want anything to do with him. I'm not, in love with the Cubs, Arietta. I'm well aware he has moved on, maybe even more so than Adam Wainwright. But I cannot deny what he's done this spring. 15 innings with a 2.40 ERA with 10 Ks. And so is it possible that he has found a way to, tiptoe around the worst lineups in baseball, and with him always going to be on the waiver wire, I think he can be somewhat useful. But going against the Pirates, week 1, I think he's going to be ready. Now, that said, he's given up in those 15 innings in spring training, he's given up 14 hits. So you can imagine what that's doing to your whip. So, very deep league.
Let me ask, are you in on Bumgarner too?
No.
No. Okay.
Let me be honest. I'm not in on any of them, but I'm looking. I'm just seeing what Jake's been doing. I saw highlights. It's literally the worst offensive team in baseball. He's not tired yet. It's the first first try. But no, Bumgarner, Wainwright, anybody. I just no. Maybe for a week. But let me ask you this: how's Bumgarner been doing over the spring?
I think he had one really good start, and then his velocity dropped off again, and then he didn't. I can't back that up. I remember one start, everyone being like Bumgarner, and then
you see that wave on Twitter, where you see his name a bunch.
Yeah, and his slider was really working, I think, and then but then his fastball velocity is still sitting like 89, which doesn't really work unless you're Greg Maddux.
Yeah, which he's not.
No.
I'm missing him. Who is your favorite Atlanta Braves pitcher of all time?
Oh gosh, it's probably Maddux.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like that he threw 90. I mean, 90, 91. He was sitting 88 even in his later years, and still, that's just amazing. He's like Greinke to me.
Yep.
I mean, I love watching Greinke. I just like watching guys who are super command artists, because I could never have done that. It's insane. I mean, if you've ever been on the mound at literally any level, to be able to do that with that pinpoint precision is crazy.
Yep.
I mean, I also like watching old Necro stuff, and of course Smoltzy and Glavine, but Maddux has to take the cake for me.
I have absolutely no problem with that. I mean,
what about Tigers then?
Justin Verlander for me, without a doubt. He's
be
number one. Yep. Verlander was just, from Rookie of the Year, going to the World Series in 2006, his first year, all the way to the MVPs, the Cy Youngs, the game 5s in Oakland, and he's like, don't worry, I got it, and he shuts the whole team down, not 8 straight innings of just, barely no hit ball. And so Verlander for me, and it's not even close. I mean, for those years that we had Scherzer, we had Anibal Sanchez when he won the ERA title, back when Doug Fister was the thing. He was actually pretty good. I mean, we have David Price.
David Price for a little while. Yeah, 2014, you guys had like 3 or 4 of those guys on one team, right?
Yeah.
We don't talk about that, I guess.
Exactly, yeah, you can see it. It gets all somber. But yeah, because that's like, how do you, so many first ballot Hall of Famers just all in front of you and just couldn't be able to pull the trigger. But, as someone grew up in the 90s with the Braves, I mean, they had an amazing team every year. They did pull out one, right?
Yeah, one in 95, I believe.
Yeah.
We lost quite a few. They were all before I was born. So, yeah, I was born in 98. So I kind of missed out on the Golden Brave years. I'm a little baby boy. So 1999 was the last time they went to the World Series.
Yeah.
Sidebar, pretty much every sports team I root for, the last time they either won or went to a championship was the year I was born or the year after I was born. So I don't know if I'm like a good luck charm or a bad luck charm. And I think I'm afraid to find out at this point. So.
Yep. And I, as a Detroit sports fan, I mean, we had our Red Wings time, which was really cool in the 90s. But other than that, I mean, the Lions, possibly the worst franchise ever. The Tigers, well, lackluster now, and then the Pistons. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll move on from there, and let's hop into our 3 hitters. Who do you got coming up for Week 1?
Okay.
Top 3 waiver wire pickups.
Hitters. Okay, so number 1, gotta be Kyle Seeger for me. Kyle Seeger is rostered in, I can't remember the exact number. I should have written it down. It's like around 50% of Yahoo leagues. He's not getting rostered in most leagues, but third base is not a super deep position beyond like that top few third basemen. It's kind of sneaky. And so a guy like Kyle Seeger is someone who's super valuable, especially if you need a backup third baseman. Kev, I do not know how to say Kev's last name, at Rotosurgeon on Twitter. He's a great follow for anyone looking for a guy who tweets out great fantasy takes all the time. But since 2019, Kyle Seeger and Nolan Arenado match up almost identically, actually. Arenado's got a better average by about 54 points, but their weighted runs created is the exact same. Arenado's got 39 home runs, 111 RBIs. Seeger's got 32, 103 RBIs. And Seeger will even throw in some stolen bases.
And that's exactly what I was going to point out too. I mean, I don't know if you have the numbers in front, but it's close to double digits the last few years, and no one even talks about it.
I know he's stolen 7 since 2019. But before that, he was, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that he's kind of sneaky around. I mean, I tend to punt stolen bases. I'm never the guy who's going to get Mondesi. So having a guy who's a good hitter who will also throw in 5 to 10 stolen bases and chip away at that category is pretty valuable for me. So I really like Seeger.
Rostered in 48% of leagues.
48%. Thank you. I knew it was around 50. I couldn't remember which one of those it was. But yeah, I mean, when you've got a guy going basically undrafted, giving you this similar offensive production to Arenado, who's going 4th round, 3rd round, 5th round, he's a great guy to pick up. And he goes on hot streaks. He gets really cold sometimes, but if you get him against the right lineups, the Texas Rangers, he destroys the Rangers. He's like Freddie
against the Orioles.
Yes. Gleyber Torres against the Orioles. Kyle Seeger destroys the Rangers pitching no matter what. So if he's on your wire and he's playing the Rangers, just pick him up. It'll all sort itself out. He was a league winner for me last year. I picked him up a couple different points and then dropped him and then picked him up again when he was hot. Another guy is Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker is owned. I messaged you about this earlier in the week. I think he's owned in, again, I didn't write it down. I didn't write down the own percentages because I'm stupid, I guess. But I think he's owned in like 50% of leagues. Again, it's around that spot.
Yeah, it's 69.
69. Okay, that's a little high. But if you're in a deeper league, Winker's a really good guy to grab. He hit at about a 35 home run pace. I think it was 36 home runs last year. And he's a career 380 on base percentage guy. So he's got a super high walk percentage floor. So you can always count on him to give you pretty good ratios as far as even if you're in a points league, if you're in an average league, an OBP league, his average won't kill you. His OBP is great. He's always going to give you some walks or something. So I think he's a super high floor guy with 35, 40 home run potential. He's not one of those wall scrapers. I mean, he's a guy who barrels the ball up consistently. His exit velocities were in the 90th percentile last year, and all he's done has take a step forward since he broke out in, I think, late 2019. So I really like him as a guy to pick up. If he's on your waiver wire, don't let him sit there. He's a great bench bat or third or fourth outfielder. And then the final guy, now I had this down to, I was not sure on this one. There's a few people who I had listed here, but I believe Brandon.
The boldest one. How about that?
What was that? The boldest one?
Yeah, give me the boldest one.
Okay, boldest one, easy. Taylor Trammell.
Got
Taylor Trammell is a guy I've been on as a minor league prospect. He's rostered in 5% of Yahoo leagues, so he's free. I've been in on him for about a year. I really like the minors. I like that he was number one. I like that he was traded for by the Mariners, who I like their system a lot. Again, I just like to get teams that I trust their development and then just draft their guys and let it go. Yeah, because generally it works out. And
coming up here over the next 3-4 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so they're super top heavy, but the fact that he made the opening day roster is crazy. I mean, it's pretty awesome, but he has a pretty high K percentage, but he's made a swing change. He made a swing change since 2019, and he got some rave reviews at the alt site in 2020, and people are like, this guy's hitting the ball. This guy's hitting the ball hard. And we haven't seen him until this spring, and he came out, and he was hitting the ball. He was hitting the ball hard. I think he has 3 home runs in the spring so far. He's chipped in multiple stolen bases. He's one of those guys that's, if you let him go opening day, I mean, he could be 20-20. He could be a 20 home run, 20 stolen base guy. I think he has the tools for that. He could also be strikeout at 40% rate after he gets some effort or he gets adjusted to and then gets sent back down. So that's why it's bold. But, I mean, I'm probably taking a shot on him in at least one league just to see how it goes.
Yep. Yeah, especially if he's, rostered in 5% of leagues. I mean, there's no – just cut him if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's raking the ball right now, and he's been playing. I mean, a lot of times you'll see those minor league guys come up and they'll play in the spring, and they'll play against like AA talent and then get optioned down after the first 15 games. But Trammell's been hitting against the major league guys now. I mean, he hasn't stopped when the opening day starters have come in. So I don't know.
There you go. I like it. Bold. Trammell.
Yeah.
Which it may be Trammell.
It may be Trammell.
Maybe. We'll have to go to our resource yet. Thank you again, Chris, for Baseball Pods.
Yeah, thank you. If you want a safer option, teammate Mitch Henniger, not rostered very much either.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not for bold, spicy takes, go for Henniger. He had a monster 2019. He looks healthy.
That's the thing with him, health, right? It's almost where you feel bad for him. You just want him to be able to just get 162 games in and just see, where he's at. But awesome. All right, let me hop into mine here. So number one, and to be honest with you, my fantasy, triple play fantasy community, I've given you somewhat of a misservice. I have cheated and I got lazy that I actually picked 3 of the hitters that I put into my top 5 best pickups, late waiver wire pickups, the article that I just produced. So I picked those 3 there, not to be lazy, but maybe a little bit, but more. And I think this is super important, Mac. Before week 1, of course, it's a good idea to get, maybe a 2-start pitcher or somebody who has a good matchup. But I think what we're all really trying to do in that first month is get that gem off the waiver wire that you can hold on to the whole year, right?
Absolutely.
And you look like that genius, where 3 weeks in, one of your league mates searches, I'm going to pick this guy up. And like, what he's been rostered for a month, and you're the guy holding on to him. So that was my take. I want to pick 3 guys that I feel like are going to be a really good resource for the entire year. So number 1, and this is not a homer pick, but maybe a little bit, Robbie Grossman, outfielder, Detroit Tigers. So his ADP is 424, so he's free. He's only rostered in 3% of Yahoo leagues, which is completely understandable. I mean, you think Robbie Grossman, you may say, who? Or, oh, yeah, him. And that's understandable. But last year in Oakland, Grossman was on pace for a 2020 season, and now he's set to be the leadoff hitter for the Detroit Tigers. So just this spring, I don't know how many games you've tuned in for the Tigers, probably not too many, and I don't blame you, but I've seen them all, and he's hitting bombs left and right. So last year, he actually sat down with his hitting coach, Darren Bush, and he completely reworked his swing and got him to focus only on making hard contact. So once he made this change, Grossman increased his hard hit percentage last year from 30.7 to 37.5, increased his barrel percentage up to 5.5, took his ISO from 0.107 to 241. So just his ISO skyrocketed. He's a great OBP guy. I mean, he has a 12.6 career walking percentage, so his OPP is always going to be pretty solid. And if the gains are real, his power gains, he really could be a 2010 guy. He's sneaky. You know, he got 8 steals last year in a short season. He's going to be, like I said, batting at the top of the order, and there's no one going to be – he's in no competition. He's going to be the leadoff hitter for the Tigers all year. Plenty of opportunities for run production. Number 2, Kiki Hernandez, Mr. Enrique. This is kind of like a second homer pick. So I lived in Los Angeles, for a little over 5 years, and I went to so many Dodgers games, and I saw so many different games. And he was always someone that, you can't help but love, right? Small, utility guy, does a little bit of everything. Now he's in Boston. So the Red Sox are putting him at the top of the lineup. So he's going to have, for the first time of his whole career, really, he's an everyday starter. And so it's not too often you see someone who's been in the league this long, and he still might, you still might have a higher ceiling than we thought. So in his career as a leadoff hitter, he has 290 plate appearances. He's batting .250 with 14 home runs and 4 stolen bases. So he's going to have Alex Verdugo, JD Martinez, and Rafael Devers hitting behind him all year. I will be shocked if he doesn't get at least 80 runs, steal you 10 bases, get you some pop, and just be, for a deeper league, if he's your middle infielder, or if you get an injury to your second baseman or outfielder, he's going to be a perfect plug and play all year. So I really like Kiki.
Absolutely. And when in doubt, draft a leadoff hitter. That's a big go-to for me. So I love getting as many leadoff guys as I can, just more chances.
Yep, absolutely. And it's something that, like I put in the article, it's elementary, right? Like the guy who's going to bat first, second, or third is going to have a lot more at bats. I mean, it's a duh moment, but it is, important, especially when you're sitting there between maybe 2 or 3 guys that you're thinking about drafting, you're thinking about picking up, they're going to have that, that extra bit there. So, but yeah, lastly will be Corey Dickerson. So he's on the Marlins, and he's following the same trend of, he is going to be either leading off or the second hitter in that lineup. And we've touched on the fact that the Marlins have already improved offensively. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Dickerson can do. So his ADP is 418. So he's free, only rostered in 14% of Yahoo leagues. But when he is healthy, he's a career 284, 327, 497 hitter. And he's had 3 seasons with 20-plus home runs. So the pop is there. The decent batting average is there. Now, last year, he actually decreased his strikeout percentage and he increased his walking percentage, which to me is going to be taken to that next level of being a viable leadoff hitter for the entire season. If he's able to get on, base at a lot better of a clip, and obviously he's going to be able to score more runs, but most importantly, he's going to be able to stay in that 1-2 order. And then lastly, he should be, I think it was the Bat X projected him to steal 8 bases. So that's not nothing. And so if he's able to maybe get you 10 or 12 or a little bit higher upside, 25 home runs, a 284 batting average, for being absolutely free, I think that's a great place to start.
Absolutely. For sure. And I would much rather have these. I mean, some guy I'm out on, Victor Robles. I'd much rather draft these guys with big power that have proven it, like Dickerson, who are going to give me like 8 to 10 steals and 20 plus home runs at the top of the lineup, than Robles, who seems he might be batting 8th or 9th in the lineup now.
Did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah,
they might be going the double leadoff thing, and so I don't know. I just tend to like proven guys who are sneaky, like Dickerson. I agree.
Yep, and I mean it's all just comes down to him being healthy. The biggest indication of someone being injured is if they've had previous injuries. So he is in that. He's in that spot where you're going to be worried, but that's why he is absolutely free. If he doesn't work out, cut him. If he dives for a ball and separates his shoulder, it is what it is. Just move on. But good, useful fifth outfielder. So that concludes our week 1, waiver pickups. 3 pitchers, 3 hitters. We are going to put them down in the Excel spreadsheet for the entire season. So they're in pen. We are going to have to stand behind them. So this time next week, we're going to take a look, and I'll be defending Jake Arietta. So
we'll see how that goes for you.
maybe not how I wanted to start my first show ever, having to get on the Arietta fence, but we'll see how that works out. But but before we take off, Mac, do you have anything you want to add or you want to say regarding the upcoming baseball season?
Just super excited. Let's get it started. That's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to us, guys. I mean, whoever's out there, we're super excited to be able to do this. Hopefully you find it valuable that we back our picks up. We'll be looking at them next week, so we'll see how we do.
Absolutely, and we'll be bringing you the waiver wire pickups all season, so make sure you turn in here on the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube page. We'll also have another type of show in the works as well, so we'll keep you in the loop with that. I know Mac and I are super excited.
Absolutely.
But
and our episodes will probably be shorter than this one, but we had a little bit of a long one for introductory. You guys can get to know us. But
little introduction, but they're going to be a lot more efficient. We want to get you guys this stuff, in and out, so you can log in, log out, and, get a big leg up on your competition. So until next week, we will see you then. But before we let you go, Mac, one more time, plug what you do and how our fans can find you.
I write at Triple Play Fantasy, Pitcher List. You can find me at Tristan Mckenzie. You can find a couple of my articles on my Twitter, on Pitcher List. More recently, I've created a stat called Ideal Plate Approach. I've been tracking that. I find that's a pretty good way to find guys who are safe for production. So I've got a leaderboard up on my Twitter profile. I'm hopefully going to be updating that throughout the season as well. I'm really excited about that project. That's what I do. And that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Yep. And with that, you tracking your own statistics that you created, that's something that I'm actually going to be talking to you a lot about because I want to learn as much as I possibly can. But yes, thank you very much for joining us here on the Between the Seams with Marty and Mac. Look forward to seeing you next time. Again, your host, Marty Tallman. You can find me on Twitter at Marty_Tallman. Write for Triple Play. I write for Motor City Bengals, which is a Detroit Tigers fan-sided affiliated sport. But yes, great to be on the show. Thank you, Mac, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Signing off.
Bye-bye.